Hi everyone, welcome to another video. It's a wonderful day and a wonderful setting here at Ascot Racecourse for Historics Auction's September Classic Car Auction. Some amazing cars here, all kinds of stuff as usual, Jaguars, Aston Martins, Ferraris, Porsches, you name it, it's here. And really excited and slightly nervous because I've also got my Jaguar XJ Super V8 in the auction. But a great setting, as you can see, it's beautiful on a day like this, flowers everywhere, and the cars all around this ring outside the building, this huge glass building that you can see, and also the older cars and generally the more expensive cars inside that glass building as well. So today I'm going to show you around some of the cars that interest me most, some really exciting stuff here, top quality cars as well that are going to sell for a huge amount, I think. Also some pretty affordable ones. So I'm going to show you quite a good range. Talk you through the cars, show you a bit about them and the condition, and follow them through and see what they sold for. It's likely this video might turn out to be quite long, so this is part one of the video, and I'll follow up with part two with some different cars shortly. Here is a lovely looking Lotus Esprit Turbo. So 2.2 turbo. This is 1989, two-owner car, and it looks in excellent condition and really low miles for one of these, about 34,000 miles. I've just been round it, it looks really good, wax oiled underneath. It's had quite a lot of work done to it as well, with kind of brake pipes replaced, etc. Well maintained, Lotus service history. And actually, you know, I think this is one of the better examples I've seen. This is added afterwards, I think, by the previous owner, the rear spoiler. Paintwork, other than the kind of odd tiny blemish, is really excellent. And having seen so many pretty tired looking ones, if I'm honest, this is a nice change. And what's surprising is this is actually no reserve, this car. I find when I look at these, it's usually the interior that's suffered most. And this one clearly shows, you know, some signs of wear, but partly because it's such a low mileage car, low owner car, and obviously very well cared for. I think the previous owner has largely just dry stored it. It looks really excellent in here. The radio's not in there, but I think it does come with one. And that removable sunroof there. Yeah, and really nice looking car. I suppose these are usually guided early 20s. Given this is such a good example and a low miler, it'd be interesting to see what this goes for. Well, I wasn't going to feature an XJS, but I had to feature this one because it's a pretty exceptional example again. This is a 6-litre 1993, so 6-litre V12 obviously, and these ran just over 300 or so horsepower. It's a Japanese car, ex-Japanese car, came to the UK I think in 2017. It's had a couple of owners here since. It's only 45,000 kilometres, and its second UK owner spent, wait for it, £75,000 on this car. That is absolutely insane. So as you can imagine, it's had everything done to it engine-wise, brakes, suspension, and I'm not sure it actually said in the description, but this interior must be new. It is absolutely fantastic. It looks amazing. The paintwork isn't perfect, there's definitely some marks on it, but that interior is really wonderful. And this looks like it must be a very new hood. This all looks in really excellent condition. No evidence of rust in the usual places, just a couple of minor marks on it. And this is guided at 28 to 32,000 pounds. It's a lot of money for an XJS, but it's a rare 6-litre, extremely low miles, and really pretty exceptional condition, to be honest. Quick look at this 1981 308 GTBi. Another lovely looking car, guided at 63 to 72,000 pounds. Sounds a fair amount. Paintwork looks excellent though. It's low miles, about 35,000 miles. These were 2.9 litre V8 in these. Fairly puny by today's standards, I guess. Just over 200 or so horsepower. Actually, this is in really excellent condition. Looks like a very new exhaust there. Paintwork is superb. Lights are not always the best here to show you, or to view them, to be honest. Some places are quite dark, which makes proper inspection quite difficult. Interior also looking really nice. Look at all that switch gear in the centre. Awesome. It smells lovely in here as well. No dampness, just smells of beautiful old leather. Very nice car. This is the star of the show for me. Aston Martin DB4. This one's a 1960, so what would now be called a Series 2. These were made 1958 to 1963 and just seem to go under constant development. So many iterations of them. Subsequently called Series 1 through to 5. To be honest with you, I can't remember all the differences, but I think from Series 2 on, the hinging of the bonnet, for example, was at the front rather than the rear. I think this Series 2 got an oil cooler to help with the cooling. And I think Series 5 saw some of the biggest differences where they had bigger wheels, and it was, I think, a slightly longer wheelbase as well. Help me out here, as you can tell, I'm not hugely knowledgeable on this era Aston Martin, but just such beautiful cars. And this is guided at £350,000 to £375,000. Extraordinary price, really. I did see at Hampton Auctions earlier this year, there was I think it was a Series 5 DB4, and that actually sold for £416,000. So with that in mind, this looks cheap. Obviously extremely well maintained, as you would expect for these types of cars. There's some patina on the seats, but that dash looks absolutely lovely. If you're being picky for £350,000, I suppose this seat has some damage. It's just, original, worn, as you'd expect. But just such a beautiful, iconic car. These were powerful, refined, and luxury all in one, I suppose. Yeah, I absolutely love these. Here's a Ferrari 360 Spider, pretty low mileage at 26,000. Previous owner hasn't owned it that long, but it has come before that from about 18 years of ownership. It's had a recent service, brakes done, wheels refurbed, which now look perfect. And it's in, I think, California blue, which looks good. It's got some issues with the paintwork, minor. This is a fairly old car, of course. But, cosmetically here and there, it's not perfect. These were, of course, 3.6 litre V8. I think they were 400 horsepower. And it's generally a pretty decent looking car. There's quite a lot of kind of chipping under here, peeling of that surface layer. But the major issue for me with this one is the stickiness inside. So although this might have had something done to it, it's no longer feeling sticky. You can see it's a bit of a mess, and these buttons as well. And around these air vents, this is actually still quite sticky. So, it's got that issue. It's so unfortunate that cars of this era, Ferraris, Maseratis, Audis, lots of different things, had this issue. It really does detract from the car, and it's a real pig to sort out. This is guided at £55,000 to £60,000. And of course, importantly, it's the manual gearbox, the gated 6-speed manual shifter, much more desirable than the F1 paddle shift these days. I think it might struggle to make 55 to 60. Aston Martin VIRAGE VOLANTE here, with wide body as well. You can see huge great wheel arches. These were the 5.3 litre V8, of course. Quad cam, about 330 horsepower. Slightly worrying, there's quite a lot of fluid there underneath it. Beautiful looking car. Paintwork's looking fairly good. Looks like it might do with the polish. Huge flared wheel arches, 18-inch wheels. 285s at the back, which for the time is huge. Gives it an amazing stance, this car. This one's done 47,000 miles. It looks like it's been very well looked after. It's guided at 58 to 69,000 pounds, which seems an awful lot of money. Virages can be pretty cheap nowadays. When I say cheap, you know, you can get them in the 20s easily, but of course they're not Volantes and they're not the wide bodies. You could get these in a manual as well. This one's an auto. Yeah, lovely looking car. Interested to see if that makes anywhere near that though. So I think this is one of the best conditioned cars here. Absolutely superb. It's obviously a Volvo 1800S. This one's a 1968, 98,000 miles on the clock. He's had an inline 4-cylinder engine, a bit puny really by my standards. Not much over 100 horsepower, 115 I think, 2 litre. I think it's just brilliant styling, so elegant, and of course made famous in various films, TV shows, etc. But I think only let down by the slightly puny engine, in my humble opinion. But this one is in, as I say, superb condition. It's had £48,000 restoration. It's guided at 23 to 28,000 pounds. You know, I reckon that's an absolutely excellent buy at that price. It's not long ago that I saw these listed in the 40s and they probably weren't as good as this. They've certainly plummeted quite a bit recently. I checked out all underneath. It really is an excellent condition car. If you've got a spare 25 grand, I reckon that's a great buy. So a Ferrari Mondial here. This is a Mondial 8. There were 4 iterations, I think, of the Mondial. The 8 was effectively the lowest powered in the first iteration. This was the 3 litre, I think, at the time. Engine with just over 200 horsepower. Then came the 3.2, and then after that the Quattro Valve, and then the T, which I think went up to 3.4. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of that. So this is perhaps one of the least desirable Ferraris, a Mondial in general, and then perhaps, well, almost definitely the least desirable iteration of the Mondial. So I'm not trying to badmouth this car. I'm just saying that this could be a cheap Ferrari. It's no reserve. It does have some issues. There's quite a dent there and some damage to the paintwork. Paintwork's not great, and in some lights you won't be able to see, I don't think, on camera, but there is micro bubbling all down this wing, as well as some spots on the back here that don't seem to come off. So it's definitely got some paint issues. Interesting this because I was speaking with one of the Historics team. This has just had a £15,000 engine rebuild. Now, I would argue this car isn't worth huge amounts more than that. Just showing you that this has come unstuck and come away. A minor issue, easily be restuck, but and quite a bit of wear on the seat bolster. So actually, I really feel sorry for the owner. He took it. I think he just wanted some minor work done, or there was a minor issue. The garage rang him up and said, "Oh, we've got your engine in bits. It's going to be 20 grand to rebuild it or something." And he went, "What?" I didn't ask you to take my engine to bits. Took all the bits elsewhere and got it rebuilt. But that's a 15 grand engine rebuild. You know, poor guy. He might not get much more than 20 back for this. What do you think? So yeah, it's a bit of a sad story in a way. But a no reserve Ferrari. How often do you see those? So there are at least 6 or 7 DB7s here, I think. I've ruled out quite a few of them, having looked at a lot of them. A few for wet footwells, a couple with quite bad paintwork, one with the classic leather shrinkage on the dash from the sunlight. This one, a V12 Vantage Volante, is actually one of the best ones here, I think. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's got the blue leather interior. They're certainly quite, I guess, quirky with these brightly coloured leathers. Well, not that bright, I suppose. I struggle slightly with the aesthetics of the DB7. Guided 20 to 25,000 pounds because it's under 25,000 miles, so super low mileage. I expect that'll make over 20. As I say, it's one of the better ones here for sure. So, year 2000 Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph here. Fairly high miles, 125,000 pounds. Of course, at this era was when Bentley had a BMW engine, the twin turbo V8, was it 4.4, in their Bentleys. didn't go down well in the Anage, so what later became known as the Green Label got replaced by a massively improved version of the traditional 6.75 turbo Bentley Rolls-Royce engine and became the Red Label. However, the Rolls-Royce of the time, the Silver Seraph, actually got the 5.4 litre BMW V12, so a totally different kettle of fish really. And I think that went down better because it's a V12. So this is, as I said, fairly high miles. Interior looks fairly good. There is a fair bit of wear and, you know, kind of dirty creasing on that chair, kind of to be expected with that miles. The back looks in excellent condition. Guided at around 12 to 15,000 pounds, mainly because there's a fair bit of paintwork damage. You can see quite bad lacquer peel. And where else did I spot? There's some, oh yeah, some bubbling and rust coming through there. And then quite a lot of scratches all over the boot. And then a scrape here. Very bright sunlight, sorry, but you have to trust me, there is a scrape all down there. A dent here. And perhaps one of the worst bits is just this paint all here is not good. You know, it really needs a respray. But for that kind of money, someone would be pretty happy, I expect, with that. For 12 grand to get a V12 Rolls-Royce. Perhaps you don't care about the paintwork. So very interesting to see what this one goes for. Beautiful looking Porsche 914 here. This is a 1975. The entry-level Porsche, I love them in this colour. You see quite a lot in this colour. This is a left-hand drive, came into the UK in 2016 and has since undergone a £30,000 restoration. So that included a full bare metal respray, full engine overhaul. So this being in 1975 is I think the larger engine, is that right? Did they change? Yeah, 1.8 it says in the back. So I think they changed from 1.7 to 1.8 in 74. And this is guided at 12 to 14,000 pounds. I mean, I reckon this is another exceptionally good value car. It's definitely not perfect, but for that kind of money, having just had, you know, 30,000 spent on it within the last 8 or so years, I mean, what a great value car. It looks very nice in here as well. I mean, these seats look almost new. You know, this must have had some work on the dash as well. It looks very, very good. These always seem like a bargain to me, and this one in particular, having had so much spent on it, I think is just exceptionally good value for money. Left-hand drive, of course, so very interested. I can't see that making only 12,000, surely. So here we've got a very late R129 SL, 2002, so obviously one of the latest ones. Some people don't like these facelifts. I actually don't mind them myself. This is an SL280, so the smaller engined 6-cylinder still. I don't actually see many of these smaller engine ones. This one is in absolutely fantastic condition, only 17,000 miles, which is ridiculously low, to be honest. And yeah, outstanding condition. Some minor scuffs on the wheels. But you have really, really good condition. And this is guided at 20 to 24,000 pounds. Which, as these goes, I think these SL129s may well increase in price, these really good condition ones. I suppose the thing that might detract from this is it's only, so to speak, a 280. But fantastic condition. I mean, you know, it's almost in new condition. Owner has recently spent £5,000 on all kinds of stuff, so it's in ready-to-go condition. Yeah, lovely car. So I absolutely love this car because it's a total oddball. 1992 Bentley Val d'Isère, based on the Turbo R. It's effectively an elongated estate Turbo R. It's got the same 6.75 V8. I believe I think less than 20 of these were made. 11 commissioned for and bought by the Sultan of Brunei. This is an ex-Sultan of Brunei car. a rare one to come into private ownership, or a non-Sultan of Brunei ownership, I should say. And they're really interesting, partly because they're so rare. When do you see an estate Bentley like this? They also had like quite a strange four-wheel drive system. I think it was like a hydraulic belt-driven system that has motors on the front hubs, I believe, and disengages above 30 miles an hour. So quite an unusual four-wheel drive system. Another unusual feature about it, this one's only done about 14,000 miles, and it's guided at 105 to 135,000 pounds, and it's in Sultan of Brunei colours, as you can see, legendary for liking very, let's call them flamboyant colours. Yeah, look at this. Oh, it's just brilliant. Yeah, definitely not one for the shy and retiring, but you're very unlikely to find another one like this. I've seen the rear of this chair. It seems to have an issue, as you can see, which is unfortunate, although it looks like it's fairly easily fixable. Here's a particularly good-looking 1975 Alfa Romeo 2000 Spider Veloce. So this is originally a South Africa car, 1975, as I say, and it came to the UK in 2004. It then underwent quite a lot of work, including a full respray. It's since had a lot more work done on it, and I would say for this era, Alfa presents pretty well. Paintwork looks really very good. I think it's had some fairly recent work on the roof. I'm not sure it's quite fitting correctly, but it looks in very good condition. It's obviously a left hooker. I think these are almost new seats. They're certainly in pretty much as new condition, and all of the dash and dials look excellent. As I say, I reckon for the era Alfa, this is a particularly good one. It's only 16,000 miles apparently. Some bubbling here I've just spotted on the wing poking through. And guided at 12 to 15,000 pounds, I think that seems pretty sensible. So we've got Jaguar Mark II corner here. We've got a 2.4, a 3.4 and a 3.8. And I think these are great value. I can't remember exactly, this one is something like 14 to 18 or something, that kind of range anyway. Fully restored, only 3 owners from new. This is the 3.8. It's been with the vendor since 2009, who finished off the restoration. And I suppose this is the ultimate version. Bigger engine's always better, right? And they're kind of legendary saloon car, this. Such a lovely era. It's got a lovely smell in here of old leather, not dampness. And clearly this isn't Concours condition, but it's very good condition. You know, there's imperfections all over the place, but I think for that kind of money, I think you're getting such an amazing classic and quite a lot for your money, really. You know, I do feel these are one of the best value classics at the moment. Perhaps it's just because I have a soft spot for them. I think they appear cheap, perhaps. Just quickly passing this Audi S8. This is the V10 generation. It was something I was potentially interested in. Owned by Jude Law from New for many years, and it's quite low mile for one of these, 60,000 or something. I looked in and it just gave the impression of not being particularly well cared for, if I'm honest. Nothing too bad, but maybe I'm a bit fussy, but you know, just no one bothered to kind of properly clean it before bringing it to auction, which for me is a bad sign. But the main reason, these suffer badly from you know, coil packs, spark plugs, but the main thing is the inlet manifold. I think is it the swirl flaps in the inlet manifold, and the light's on this, so that's a no-go. It's such a common problem on these. The part's cheap, but it's still, I seem to remember reading it's about an 1,800 quid fix, so that's a no-go. It's also, you know, I think this is something like, is it 10 to 15 or 12 to 15,000 guide price, which I think is a little bit steep. You can get one a bit less than that. It is low miles, but it's going to need something spending on it. A beautiful looking Bentley T2, long wheelbase. This is 1978. effectively exactly the same as the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, I guess. This one is guided pretty sensibly, 17 to 25,000 pounds. It's quite high mileage, 150,000 miles. Apparently been chauffeur driven most of its life. I think they call this Scots Pine Green. It says there's some history in the file. Reading between the lines, I'm guessing there might not be huge amounts of history. And you know, it certainly shows it's 150,000 miles, I would say. Nothing hugely wrong with it, but it's not going to be a Concours car. So you can see behind me a Jeep Wagoneer. I had to look twice because at Historics Auction in March they had an almost identical looking car actually, and you don't see many of these for sale at all, so I had to do a double check and check it wasn't the same one. It isn't, it's a different one. So these are really interesting. Jeep Wagoneer, obviously I think this is 1988, before the Chrysler takeover, and of course what makes them so unique are these kind of wooden panels, 5.9 litre V8 in this, 3-speed auto, and they just don't make cars like this anymore. It's great. So obviously the wood panelling all down here, it looks in excellent condition, this. All down here, yeah, lovely, really nice condition, and the paintwork as well. It's a very American looking car, obviously from a great era as well, and these have quite a basic structure. So they've got a body on frame construction, you can see here, so fairly old school, but quite a rugged off-roader. Obviously four-wheel drive, permanent four-wheel drive on these. But with the ground clearance as well, they were reasonably good off-road, I believe. And they also had a really, really plush interior. I mean, look at this lovely, beautiful leather interior. Held up extremely well. This is in excellent condition. You can see even the boot here. I mean, this really is a lovely car. You got electric windows. This beautiful wooden dash. There's a bit of trim loose on the driver's door there. And these really plush, comfortable, soft leather seats. These are lovely. And this particular one came from Japan in 2017 and has been owned by the vendor since 2021. It's showing 11,000 kilometers on the clock. It's a Japanese car, obviously. I'm not sure if that's a genuine 11,000. I imagine it may have been round the clock. Yeah, I'm just showing it because it's, as I say, so rare to see these. 1998 Land Rover Defender Wolf, obviously ex-military ones. It did loads of different changes on these, different rear third chassis, much stronger axles, dinitrolled, rust-proofed. This one doesn't look like it's had what they call the Remus upgrades, which was a roll cage and dinitrol of the chassis. I think they still did those on the 90s as well as the 110s. I've got a 110 actually. This is in actually very, very good condition. It's obviously had a respray, hasn't got any battle scars. Inside looks really excellent. We've got a fake gun in there. I've checked out the footwells. You know, this has been really nicely done up. I like mine in rustic army condition, but that's just personal taste. It's got the pickaxe and shovel there. And this is guided at 16 to 20,000 pounds, which I don't think is too bad. 115,000 miles on the clock. I don't think that's that bad, you know. Outriggers have got some rust coming and just surface rust on the chassis. Bulkhead is very good. These tend to stand up much better. They do get better rust treatment than civvy ones often. The rear cross member is quite getting rusty, and that might need replacing sometime soon, but interested to see this. I've actually got my one up for sale. Mine's ultra low mileage, 6,000 miles, but it's not in as good condition as this. It's in original condition, which is what I personally prefer. And it's a soft top, the PVC soft top. They changed from the canvas, and these are much better. They last longer. Although that doesn't feel like Army original. That's actually too thin. That's not, I don't think that's original quality Army PVC top there. So a really great day out here. I do like coming to Ascot Racecourse. It feels really special in this setting. And of course some really special cars as well. Too many to get through, I'm afraid. I will be doing another video. But just some thoughts on some of the cars. So, you know, the higher end cars are often a bit hit and miss, I guess. The really expensive cars, like that DB4 for example, you know, hundreds of thousands of pounds. And I suppose there's just a very small buyer pool, so maybe there's more luck involved whether they actually sell. But you know, that didn't sell, that Aston Martin DB4, and Lamborghini Aventador, around about £250,000 guide price, didn't sell either. The 930 Turbo didn't sell, you know, that was a couple of £100,000. So, you know, some really expensive cars here. The XJS Lister didn't sell, that was well over £100,000. Actually, quite a few of those will feature in my next video, so make sure you check that out. I'll feature quite a few of the cars I'm going to talk about now as well. But also quite a few of what I'd term the more mid-range type cars, so perhaps, you know, £40,000 up to kind of £80,000 price range, let's say. Didn't sell that well either. You know, I'm thinking two Ferrari 360s didn't sell, the Ferrari 308 didn't sell, three Jag types didn't sell, the Porsche 911 SC didn't sell, that'll be in my next video, GT3 RS. So yeah, Austin Healey, Audi RS2, I could go on, but you get the idea. So I think not only is it the really high-end cars that were struggling, I also think these kind of mid-range, so to speak, cars are struggling quite a bit as well. Now, is that people pricing them incorrectly? Is it people just, you know, withdrawing from the market and not wanting to buy? I guess it's a bit of both, because anything sells at the right price, I think. Now, that's not to say that cars didn't still sell well. You know, there was a lovely XK120, 64,000. There was a 2008 Bentley Brooklands, 108,000. A Mark 1 Escort 1600i made 65 grand. And that Bentley Val d'Isere that we saw, over £150,000. But I think there's many more that didn't sell. So I think, you know, the cheaper end of the market seems to be holding up all right. But whilst the high end has already dropped, I think the prices are maybe softening a bit for some of these mid-range prices as well. Just my thoughts, really interested to hear what you think as well. Thank you very much for watching and see you soon.